Hey, everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another edition of Full Exposure with me, your host, Brian Kelly. I'm just going to dive right in, guys. I'm super pumped about this episode. Today's guest is Adrian Butler. Adrian, or as his friends call him and everybody else in the community calls him AB. So, Adrian A.B. Butler is a DJ, streetwear designer, rapper, and music producer based in West Michigan. He's somehow successfully merged all of these very diverse and natural talents into a business enterprise that continues to grow and evolve year after year. So what keeps a multifaceted guy like AB up at night? Well, turns out I'm really glad I asked him during this episode because it's a mix of a lot of different stuff. Sometimes it's the constant fountain of ideas running through his head or the pressures of running a business. And at times it's the adjustment to recently becoming a, quote, sitcom dad, as he calls it, unquote, with 3 different children of very diverse ages. AB as a DJ, his sets are legendary. They're a cool mix of timeless classics, underground bangers, and everyone's favorite songs that can often turn the stiffest corporate parties into a late night rager. I've seen that many times when when I've been at an event with him. There's always some dude on the dance floor who's like, I didn't know that dude could dance and he could dance like that. Maybe in a good or bad way, who knows? But anyway, AB seamlessly blends old and new music, crisscrossing genres and tapping into a deep understanding of what gets people up and out of their seats and onto the dance floor. But at the heart of this episode with AB is his love of Grand Rapids and his desire to continue to grow outside of the region, something that is both a huge challenge for him and frustrating at times. So every entrepreneur can relate to different facets of AB's journey, and I know you'll find ways to relate to this conversation as well. What a couple weeks we've had. Before we get right into the conversation, we've just had a lot of progress around some different sponsorships. I hope to be announcing some things in the next few weeks. And I just continue to be blown away by people's enthusiasm for the podcast. And if you're listening now, just know you individually, I appreciate you and taking time. There's a lot of podcasts out there. And the fact that you're even made it this far into any of our episodes and that you come back and listen again and again is so gratifying to me. Lots more plans this summer and into the fall. Got some exciting guests, and like I said, I think we're very close to some very unique partnerships with the podcast. So, hey, sky's the limit, and you'll find that with AB, the sky's the limit with his talent. This is one of the most talented guys I've ever met, and his hustle and grind and his vision for his street apparel, his music, how he grows his business is certainly inspiring. So, without further ado, this episode is brought to you by Brian Kelly Photography and Film and Brian Kelly Productions. And just reach out to me if you're considering a photo or video project of any size this year. All right, here we go. Here's me and AB in my studio. Yes. No, you're the rich baritone guy. What do you think of the quality of this rig and this mixer, huh? I mean, you probably are. You're probably pretty jealous.
Well, no, actually, I kind of am.
What?
When you can use small stuff like that, it's cool. When it works.
Well, true.
When there's like less things happening in a, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like all those old like all those old luxury cars from like the 90s.
Right.
You know, like
it's
with
just
like
a
all kinds
couple
of crazy
buttons.
stuff.
Oh, with like the crazy early technology.
Yeah, and then like things go wrong, and then you're like fixing stuff all the time.
I had a friend who had a BMW probably in the early 2000s. Like he bought it or he leased it new, and it was like a top of the line thing.
Yeah.
And he had it about 5 months. And he's like, I'm getting rid of this thing. Because it was in the shop for all the electronic problems it was having.
Yeah.
He loved the ride and the drive, but it's like, can't get this to sync. This doesn't work anymore. Then the heated seat. I don't know. It's just everything.
Yeah, it's too hot on my left cheek, and it's cold on my right cheek. Yeah.
So what do you think Do you like sparkling champagne? What do you think the mode de viju?
Oh,
VJ,
wow.
Voto VJ. Put you on the spot right away.
Yeah, yeah.
We did a Super Dre was in.
Yeah, so she brought some in for you?
No, she didn't.
You guys didn't have mimosas while you drank?
No, and I'm not going to forgive her. I almost didn't do her episode. I almost shelved it. And I was like, no, this isn't happening now. Because
I love mimosas.
Yeah.
I think it's a great way to, get some vitamin C and start your day. Yeah. But I don't drink champagne constantly. You know what I mean?
What's your drink of choice? Do you have one that's
whiskey and ice?
Just whiskey and ice. Is there a brand? Is there a go-to thing?
Right now,
don't expect a gift in the mail.
I don't know. They better send something to me. I don't know. I like just normal stuff, like Buffalo Trace and Woodford Reserve.
Yeah.
Like stuff like
Easy
that.
stuff.
Yeah. I'm not into. My palate is not developed enough, I don't think, to appreciate some of the.
All right, I like this about you already because you're not. As the kids say, you're not fronting on anything now. You're just saying, I don't know anything, and I'm the same way with photography and stuff too. It's like I know what I know, but I'm not gonna try to BS people into knowing what I don't.
Because the real whiskey aficionados of the world will see through it.
Well, that's life in general, isn't it? There's always somebody that knows way more than you do about any subject. You can be awesome at something.
Yeah, and there's also people that act like they know more than you at subjects, and they don't. So
those are the people I don't like so much. But
the realism is, I don't know. That's what I like. Yeah. That's what I try to do for myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's funny you say this because I was just having this conversation about. I feel like I've had this conversation 5 times in the last 2 days, just about the whole social media, how real is it? How fake is it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you get likes from all these people on a post, and then you see them at the grocery store, and you try to say hi, and they look away. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, wait, I know you know who I am.
I have another friend that I text with quite frequently, and the other odd thing about social media or texting, whatever, is we'll have these pretty complicated discussions. Could be about something. It doesn't matter what, and you're texting about it, and then a week later, I'll see that person in person.
Yeah.
And they ghost that conversation. It's like
it
you're like,
happened?
oh, hey, how's it going?
You bring that conversation up.
And then you're like, oh, yeah. It's almost like it didn't happen. I'm like, well, it seems like it's such a vacuum.
So you think wow, that's a big deal because there's a different personality when you're typing than when you're talking, right? That's
right.
So trying.
Well, this person's pretty reserved and quiet in person, but it's like if we were texting for 20 minutes about something like a 30 text exchange, you'd think there'd be a follow-up. Hey, it was good. I like this one thing that you. Anyway, it's just weird, but it's happened consistently with just a couple of different people. It's like you almost don't acknowledge that you were texting about something. There was this whole other conversation.
How'd that make you feel?
It makes me feel unimportant, AB, and that's the problem. I need people to pump me up all the time. Look at this carcass I'm going around in. It's not exactly the best, hottest model on the road.
You look good. Black T-shirt, gray jeans.
Well, that's
if they can see you, I don't think they can see the magnificence of your outfit. I don't think we have it. I don't think we have. You'd have to stand up, spin around, all that stuff.
That brings me a question about your clothing brand because, thank you for doing the podcast for one, because you and I have tried to link up to do photo shoots in the past, and it just between our schedules, it just doesn't work out.
It never works, and then for years I'm just watching all these photo shoots happen, hoping that one day I get the call
from you're down at the Toledo Mode Hens organization, and you're hoping to get up to the Tigers at some point.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. But the one thing that really struck me about you was I popped into Roaster coffee shop. This is a couple years ago.
Yeah, it was in
and
the
you
winter.
did. Yeah, and you did a pop-up shop there. It was kind of before Christmas.
Yeah.
And you had your clothing line there. So you're obviously, for the audience, you're a talented DJ. You create a lot of your own music, but you have one of the more unique styles for, well, your adaptable style in terms of the music that you play. You really gear it towards an audience. I think that's what makes you so successful is you can read the room.
Oh, thank you.
And but you also have this whole other design and fashion side or clothing label side that you were just selling in this. It's one of my it's probably my favorite coffee shop is Roaster, not to trash anybody else. But the thing is, you're there just doing a pop-up shop and selling gear through the web. You know, and I just think that hustle's great. Like you do it one by one, right? Can you talk about just that platform of like you're hustling on multiple levels? So you have clothing,
clothing, music. So if you look at it as like a pie, you know, the DJing is probably 60 to 70% of the pie, and then the clothing would maybe be you know, like 15, and then me actually rapping and writing songs and stuff has dwindled to about like a 10%. And then the other 5% is kind of fun. It's like just like, you know, pretty boy modeling stuff. You know, I feel like I get to be a model like once or twice a year. You know,
but that's one thing is one of the themes of the podcast is you're photographed a lot. You're very conscious of your brand, and you're developing your brand, and you use your image. And but your catalog site, you know, your shop. Mm-hmm. There's some really nice photography on there.
Thank you.
Do you like being photographed? Do you like the process of it? That's a question we ask quite a bit on this podcast. We just finished a shoot.
Yeah. I have fun because I feel like I always look different. You know what I mean? I feel like you know, like sometimes I'll see photos and I'll be like, oh, like looking kind of tired in this picture. Like, what happened? And then sometimes I see photos and I'm trying to remember what I was thinking about at the time of the photo, because I feel like all those things that are going on in my head, maybe it's not true, but to me it feels like those end up coming out in the photo in some way.
I think there's a presence, even if you're not trying to consciously emote something. Whether you mentioned you were up. Your mind was spinning all last night. Mm-hmm. You look good. You don't look tired. But the point is, you know, your mind seems to be grinding a lot.
Yeah, man. I can't. I don't know how to. I don't.
So when you're
I'm
up
always
at
thinking
night,
about things. So
what keeps you up? Is it thinking about the business? Is it music? What kind of
all
things?
Of those things.
Family. I know you have a family.
I have a family. I'm a sitcom dad. All of a sudden, I got 3 kids and a wife. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I feel like. And their age range is ridiculous. You know, I have a 16-year-old, I have a kindergartner, and I have like a 1.5-year-old son. So, you know, I'm changing diapers and then, you know, arguing about what the curfew is for the party. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like everything. But to answer your question, I do think about music quite a bit when I can't sleep, and because there's so much, I feel like right now, there's just like so many new things coming out, and there's so many different ways that people are accessing their music. You know what I mean? Like it's not 1997 when things drop at Sam Goody.
You're
and
right.
And there's one chart that's telling you what everyone's listening to.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like.
How's that impacted your business? Because I think technology's done a couple things, and it's affected my industry too that I can relate to, I think.
Yeah.
Is one, the technology has made it easier to make music. So more people can just sit down at a laptop or, you know, just have a little bit of gear and start making their own music. Mm-hmm. And then everyone has a platform. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone does.
Everyone does, and it's global.
Yep.
And so it's what you do. So how's that impacting your business? What advantages or perceived disadvantages does it have for you?
Well, so this is a great question. I wish I would have had this question emailed to me last night when I couldn't sleep. I could have answered.
Well, I wasn't even on my list to ask you, but I think As artists, though, I think to just preface it again, is my industry's upside down now. Like anyone can take a good photo with your phone. Like I'm saying that companies and corporations, what they used to have to hire photographers to do on a very basic level, not even like high level photography, but they still needed a professional photography to execute back in the film days or early digital days.
Okay.
And now you can just you can have somebody document an event and just put it out on social. They just need more content, and the quality just as a baseline of the technology has provided better photography, better videography.
Yeah, no,
and that's exciting, but
that.
it's also like, holy crap, I've been in the game long enough to go, there's whole sides of the business that's eroded away.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in that sort of idea on the music side.
Well, yeah, because I'm older, obviously, than so.
Than the 18, 20-year-olds.
So like
14-year-olds making stuff in their bedroom.
Yep. So that age group, they don't have like a filtering process where they have to. I don't see it as a way where they have to like prove themselves to anyone before they put this art or this music or whatever it is into the world, right? Like they don't. There's nothing stopping them from the day they decide that they want to rap, they can go on YouTube and grab a beat and rap and put it out, right?
Right. It's instant.
There's no like, oh shit, there's these like really great rappers that go to my school and every day at lunch they have a cipher and they battle each other and they trade rhymes and I got to get into that cipher to like establish myself as an artist. Yeah. And that's going to make me nervous, right? Like, I have to prove myself to these people that I look up to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, that whole piece of it seems to be gone. And so then also...
Well, that whole coming up, I'm just thought of why that came up. The visual I got while you were talking about the cipher and all that was 8 Mile and Eminem. You know, there's that whole proving ground and the battles and then getting booed off and going back and working on your craft.
Well, no, the getting booed off, though.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's important. Yeah. Like, I don't think I got, I look back at, like, times when I improved, and it was typically after, like, some sort of...
The worst things that happened,
rejection,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Some sort of, you know what I mean? When I was at the height of my powers with the ladies, it was after a lot of rejection had happened, and I just didn't care anymore. And then I was like, oh, it's actually fun to just be myself and not be trying to impress, people, you know what I mean? So I think that it's weird that kids, not that it's their fault, you know what I'm saying? But that's just how it is now. They don't have to do that. So I do think that it has raised the level of like everybody can buy a controller and DJ from their laptop for a couple $100. Yeah. So I think that it forces me to just continue to improve. This is kind of how I look at it because
Dude,
I don't think that.
Can I jump on that?
Because, jump on it.
Because the only thing differentiating me now is my experience technically for lighting and different things because everyone can take a good photo.
Right.
Solid photo. Outdoors, you don't even need light. You know, cameras and the sensors and technology will make sure you have enough. And now you can put a cool filter on it. You know, It's like click, plug, play for anything. But the only thing now that I still am grinding to get better and learn every shoot. And I've been 20-some years in the game doing this full time. No net. And it's a blessing and a curse because... the blessing is it keeps me motivated because I know if I don't continue to try to innovate and get better, then nothing's really going to separate me from the herd of
for sure
average, whatever that is. And I'm not trying to say I'm way better or anything like that, but the point is that once you've developed a particular style that you're known for and your audience is expecting, you still have to surprise people and come out with things that are unexpected and grow through that, grow through just like not doing the same thing all the time.
Man, that's that's so true. And it's I don't think that people that haven't done something for like an extended period of time can understand that, right? Like it's really easy to be like really cool at art or really great at a sport, or really great at your profession for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. But like after you get to that point where like you're looking around and like you're never going to say this out loud. You're never going to say out loud, like, I'm killing it right now. But like after you feel like that, then what? Because like there's constantly new kids on the block, right? There's constantly like new things happening, and then you're getting bored. Yeah. So like, how do you make it fun for yourself? And then so when you see, I don't know, man. That's what amazes me about artists like Pharrell, or you know what I'm saying, like a basketball player like Michael Jordan. You know what I'm saying? Not that like they did like the individual like accomplishments, the specific moments or the specific songs or whatever, but it's just like for 20 years, like this dude has been better than everybody else and has done it in a way that's like true to himself.
And
you know
during
what I'm
that
saying?
time period,
during his style,
they were all learning from Jordan. That athletically, so they were. Yeah. He elevated the game because he made other people and his competitors that much better around him because they could watch him. They may not be as athletically talented or as determined or just that killer instinct that he has. That's another level. But the point is, look at the game now. It's so athletic. Yeah. But he changed it. And I think that happens in music. It happens in photography. There's always someone who comes and changes it. For sure.
But if you look at like a Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? Like performing at this high level for such a long time and
being relevant.
And being relevant, but also like listen to her music now and listen to it 10 years ago, it doesn't sound the same. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's still her. Yeah. That's hard to do.
But I think the thing that I don't think part of the music industry, and this might be my impression, and maybe you can speak to it, is Beyonce can also work with all whatever producers. So she's open to collaboration and not owning it and saying, I can only create this, and I will decide what it sounds like. I'll collaborate with people who actually can help elevate and bring something that I couldn't bring to a particular album or a song. Yeah. Because that technology is always changing too.
So what you just said though is an element that is important for like all artists that are trying to improve and do something, and that's like the humility and being able to say that like I want to create this thing and I can't do it all. Right. Like I need help.
I mean, she's Beyonce and she's like, I'm going to ask so and so because I so respect this producer or that beat maker, right? You know, whoever's in that circle to make an album that she's like open enough to get her gazillions of dollars and her fame and her talent to say, I can collab. I can do things that I wouldn't be able to do before.
That's hard to do.
I think I like that we're talking about Beyonce in the context of ourselves. And what we do.
I know.
Isn't it great that we
I don't know who I can compare myself to right now, but Beyonce seems to be an easy.
Yeah. I'll be Lady Gaga. You be Beyonce. I just want to collaborate, AB. Dude, I just want to learn.
That's
like
funny.
Gaga.
I just, I think.
But I think we can learn from popular culture.
You
like
learn
that's,
from people,
you talked
though.
about Pharrell. Like, you know, like staying relevant and that talented and put out the amount of variety and learning and exploring, and now he's, you know, producing. Like it's everything, but it's just this fountain of creativity that it's not just one funnel either, you know. It's not coming at you in one way.
I'm watching Despicable Me 3 with my kids, and I'm like, oh, Pharrell did the soundtrack again, and I need to go download these songs because I love them. You know what I mean? Like so it's great to see. There was an original question that I think we started with about like what I think about when I can't sleep, and then we ended up here.
That's how it goes.
This is the amazing thing about conversation and podcasts.
So above your fashion line.
Okay, so fashion.
Well, I just want to get into that because I really like it, and I bought some stuff for my daughters. They're all into it. You have a level of, I would say, market penetration in Grand Rapids that's pretty remarkable for a guy who's just doing his own designs. You know what I mean? It's really, it's remarkable to me that kids, I'm talking teens, teen girls, they know your brand and they like to wear it, as opposed to, name the, they're not all wearing Supreme. You know what I mean?
No, that's awesome. So the challenge is how do I look at that as a problem now.
In what way is it a problem?
I'm like, what did I do wrong that I can't do this everywhere? That's
sure.
How do I do that?
How do you expand outside of the area?
Outside of the area and reach the Midwest or reach a bigger market? You know what I mean?
And those are the things you're thinking about.
So those
and
are some of the things
right?
I'm thinking about. Oh yeah. It's like a constant frustration.
Yeah.
It's like any success leads to like a question of like how and why did that happen, and why is that not happening again?
Yeah.
With such regularity that like I don't have to,
Well, I'm the same way, right? I don't know if the grass is greener or there's just another ring of influence that you want. It happens to me with photography. Like I want to do more national work, more branding work, more, work on campaigns that are initiated out of New York or LA or Chicago or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I'm very happy with my backyard of Grand Rapids. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I can't just rely on that. I need to.
Yeah. No, that's.
But when I read your bio, though, on your webpage, what's your webpage again?
Everythingab.com.
And your bio is very Grand Rapids centric. Like it's about Grand Rapids. Your audience is Grand Rapids. You've hung your hat on GR. So what? Two parts to that question. Is what's great about GR? How have you been able to leverage and hustle and be as successful you are as a DJ? Music writer, producer, performer, and also with this clothing brand. What is it? What's the special sauce about Grand Rapids? I know you came here, but you're from here. I meant to say from here.
Yeah. I'm from here, and so and then I think the piece that is missing for a lot of people is that I was trying to be a rapper for a long time. I mean, I still do rap, but like that was in MC hip hop. That was like the lane that I was really pursuing hard from, I would say, 2008 through 2012. That was like my main thing. And so doing that, you have to, all the things that I'm doing now, I had to do then and wasn't really getting paid well for. You know what I'm saying? So like the promotion of a show, the promotion of your music, making videos, networking, like all of these things were things that in that world were necessary to have success. You know what I mean? So it just kind of that was where I think I started to meet and make a lot of the connections that I still have now. And that's where I started to meet and cross paths with a lot of people from different worlds in the city. You know what I mean?
You seem to enjoy a mobility across everything, which is, I think, unique because I think you're respected in, more of the hip-hop genre in town. You're also entertaining at what would be perceived as stuffy sort of gala events for big organizations, but you turn them into amazing, fun parties. They always turn into dance parties. There's one client in particular that we share that I'm always amazed.
Is this going to be a dance party? Is it? Yeah. With him? This dude's out there? Okay.
That guy's usually wearing a lab coat, and he's completely tearing it down on the dance floor.
It's fun. It's fun. That's a fun thing to watch a room go from stuffiness and pretension and just people like walking around like they're ready for a photo at all times to then the fun debauchery at the end of the night.
Well, pivoting back to Grand Rapids, is there something about that Grand Rapids that's to your mobility? What does it speak to?
It's been to my advantage that the city has elements of just like that it's conservative and that it's small and that in that it in general. You know what I'm
What
saying?
about the conservatism is good?
Well, it makes you stand out when you do something different. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? When you go,
I like that.
when you go against.
I didn't expect that, and that's a perfect.
Yeah, when you go
I was
against
like,
when you
what?
go against the grain, all of a sudden like you stand out and you realize that that's probably what like a lot of people want to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But for one reason or another, they can't, or they don't feel like they can. I just never. Even growing up, I'm black, so like, if I can just like speak about like a little bit on the race side of things, like
Yeah, absolutely.
you know what I'm saying, like I feel like the traditions and the conservatism, like I feel like it shows itself in different ways in different communities too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, like,
can we get real about that right now?
Well,
'Cause
I don't think I ever felt like growing up in Grand Rapids. I went to Ottawa Hills, so I grew up on the southeast side of the city, and you're familiar with like how you can go 3 blocks this way.
Yeah.
And
Well, I live
people
in
are
Ottawa
struggling.
Hills, where the
you're like right in the middle.
Where
Iroquois?
the old Iroquois middle was.
Yeah, and I grew up on Calvin, so I was like right around
Yeah,
the corner from Mighty
exactly.
Mini.
Yeah, and my brother-in-law used to live on Calvin on the
Okay.
other side of Hall Street.
Yeah.
And it's very true. Like, you go just really 2 or 3 blocks, and it's a different economic zone.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
I live 2 doors outside of East Grand Rapids.
Yeah.
And then it's a whole nother thing that's
Oh, for sure.
affluent.
So
But
yeah,
anyway, not to
so
your point.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. It's so. So I was able to see. I feel like from where I grew up, I was able to see like different ways of living.
Yeah.
Different way. You know, what I mean, I had a pretty diverse neighborhood that I lived in. I had lots of black friends. I had lots of white friends, and I had lots of friends from both racial groups that were doing well and that weren't doing well, like financially. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was. I was always. I feel like I was always like I always like to read, so I feel like I was always observant, and I like to write as well. You know what I mean? So I think that helped.
Helped you
But just-
process things.
Yeah,
and-
yeah, and just eventually noticing that, like I fit in with. I fit in with who I fit in with. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
and there are some black kids. You know, my best friend in high school is black. You know what I mean? But then I had some great friends from the baseball team that were white. You know what I mean? Like so,
Right.
like it just you start to see that like you just fit in with who you fit in with, and it gets and I tried to fit in with my church was black mostly, so that was a that was an influence in who I am now too, but yeah, it's just been like I'm like thinking through this as I'm talking.
Yeah.
I just think that I started to just realize that like you can only be yourself, right? Like you can obviously there's spaces where you can also go where that won't be the case. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was always in both spaces. You know what I mean? Like
That's what I'm talking about, the mobility that you have in this sort of ease, at least from my perception. And again, I don't know you very well at all.
I think you can break people down to like they're people. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's you know what I mean? So like I'm comfortable talking to like whoever.
Right.
And I think that to a certain degree I don't learn well. I didn't learn well in college. Like that was not like a good
Me neither.
environment for me to. But I do like to learn from people.
Well, yeah, and
So
I'm a
and
visual learner.
I think I'm kind of
Like,
selfish that way. So like when I
Yeah.
meet new people or meet people,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to like absorb something from them. You
the
know what I mean? I
best
feel
part of
like-
my job is like the camera is a conduit to people I never would have met in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and even us sitting down having this conversation, it wouldn't happen if I wasn't a photographer first. The whole premise is you got to come and I got to do a portrait of you, and then we'll sit down and talk. But the point of these collisions that have happened, it didn't matter if it was somebody really well known or a top CEO, or it was just a student at a school. Like, depending on who the client was, I was forced to interact with all kinds of people, which early on I wasn't that comfortable doing. But over time, I take more of your approach, which I appreciate you mentioning, is just the openness and the idea of saying, what can I learn from this interaction with no preconceptions of who they are, what they bring to the table. They'll bring it to the table.
Yeah.
Because
they will.
it's just us to be like listening, like receive the information, and that's a lot about.
It was fun to see, like, because people always surprise you too. You know what I mean?
Always.
Like, so that's fun. So I just this is great. Thank you for having me.
Man.
This is good to talk about this. I didn't mean that like as a wrap up.
I thought you were running my show there for a second. I was like, oh, all right. Well, you were like, thanks for having me on, Brian.
No, because when I leave here, I'm going to be thinking about this conversation. It's gonna help me.
Well, we were talking just before the
process
photo
things.
shoot that I was really interested in, because what I'm trying to learn about now is how can I learn from other creative industries that are not my industry. It's not photography or videography or productions or a production studio that I have. But there's a lot of similarities in how we have to go about doing business. You have requests. It's like they're hiring you to perform because they expect something of you and your brand and what you can bring to the table. It's the same thing for photography. But my point was earlier we were talking about, I'm trying to say yes to more types of opportunities, no matter what the budget may be. Or I'll do projects that don't pay me, what other projects might.
Yeah.
Only interested in who that entity is, who that person is. And you were relating that to, I asked you very specifically, like, are you able to scale up and down? And you said something great, which I'd love to dive into again. It was like, when there's opportunities, when there's a good creative opportunity, it's sometimes worth taking less money for the creative opportunity or for the audience. So talk about how you leverage scaling up and down what you might be paid to do something based on your own perception of that event or that audience or whatever it might be.
Yeah, so if I get to do something that is going to be more challenging for me, you know what I mean? Like something that as a DJ I'm gonna have to really think about, as opposed to something where like the audience wants all the songs that they've always heard for the last 10 years. You know what I mean?
The Gang, Celebrate.
Yeah. Bruno Mars, Michael Jackson, Justin Timberlake.
Go down the list.
You know, say and there's nothing wrong with those artists. Those artists are great. They make amazing music. And I still spin that stuff, and I still have fun with it. Don't get me wrong, but when I can do something that is outside of that, and that's going to stretch me, or sometimes there's those times where like it's going to be, as an artist, I look up to other artists, and if I get a chance to play music with them or for them, you know what I mean? Like that's fulfilling in a whole different way. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple of DJs that are in Grand Rapids that I look up to, you know what I mean, that when they're at my events, I'm like, oh, sweet, like, this is cool. Like, I've been listening to him forever, and I like this dude. And I want him to hear this song or this mix or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, so that's cool. So, like, those chances to be in front, and sometimes to be in front of a different audience that I wouldn't normally get paid well to be in front of, or I'm not getting paid well and I'm doing it for this audience. But I'm gonna be learning things. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna be able to try like new music, and maybe it's an audience of people that are like not into everything else that everybody else is into. You know what I mean? And they have more specific tastes, and so that's gonna be fun for me to
and then I think
that.
What you were saying too,
and then I can grow that way,
right?
Because I think that's what it sounds like you're trying to do, and that's what I'm trying to do too. And like how do you find ways to like grow in your craft? And sometimes that means
and sometimes a small collaboration you might do because you're interested in that project or that event or that audience, and you do it for a lot less than you might normally do it. I'm also in it not just for the creative experience, but also those smaller projects sometimes lead to a more formal relationship, bigger projects later. Yeah, and if I can help creative, that's the other thing. Is sometimes it doesn't seem to add up, but almost the more creative control or influence I can have on a project, I'll actually end up more interested in maybe doing it for less.
Yeah.
Because I have a full creative control.
Yeah.
And sometimes the biggest budgets that I work on, I have the least amount of control.
Oh yeah,
it's a weird sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's like you're
would
paying
agree
me a
with
lot for this, and that's awesome. But like I'm not really bringing my little special sauce, and there's a fit for all those projects. I'm not criticizing any particular project I work on or a client I'm working on. It's just a weird sort of thing. Sometimes I really will bite on something hard because I have to think more. I have to think about their brand, their audience. How am I going to shape imagery? How am I going to shape storytelling? And because of that energy and that sort of opportunity to control things and really speak into it from a lot of different levels, it actually makes me more motivated to do it, and I might take the opportunity for many times less than I might. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you were talking about there's certain events that are bread and butter. It's like, no, I'm going to need my full rate, and you're lucky to be very busy. I mean, you're working all the time. At least from me, from my perspective, it seems like you're just hustling and grinding.
No, my wife would agree.
Yeah, the challenge of family life and working a night job, right?
Yeah, man. It's been a blessing to do what I do as my full-time job. I think one thing that helps is that the attention that I try to pay to each client, and like fulfilling like what their vision is, you know what I'm saying, too. But like as a DJ, I can go in different directions, you know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I don't do much country, so like
country.
There
shouldn't be a market for country as well.
As a genre, I tend to recommend other DJs for that.
Yeah.
But you can make...
You're not doing a hoedown party?
Each event feels different. Each event, like I'm not playing the same music every time, you know what I mean? Like the mixes are different.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And then the energy of each event is different too. So like being observant and reading the room, as you said before earlier, is like very important. So like I think one of the things for me, and probably for you too, is like just like personal connections. Because like regardless of like
that brings us back to Grand Rapids though. It's an easy town. It's an easy town to navigate in, and people will open other doors for you, or like one event will lead to other people coming up and talking to you about their event and whatever it might be. I'm specifically thinking of corporate work, but the point is, I think once you're in the game, the referrals come a little bit easier. But at the very core of that is that personal interaction with one person. And I think you do a good job of really like keying in on somebody, at least listening and what their vibe is about and how you can interact with them in that moment that feels authentic, which authentically leads to other work, or other opportunities, I would say. Does that seem fair?
That's fair.
All right.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, Grand Rapids is still small enough that you can be all like, I have a friend and we always talk about we use a Wild West analogy, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, it's a frontier, you know what I'm saying? You can decide to do something, you can do it, you know what I mean? Like you can actually still make a mark, you know what I mean? Like you can come up with, whatever that means for whoever in whatever industry, you know what I mean? Like I think there's still there's a space. It's not so crowded.
Well, you don't seem to be personally. You don't seem to be afraid to fail. Like it's like if you're interested in a clothing line because you like you'll put out a clothing line. The stakes are smaller now that you don't have to put $1 million into developing it and creating inventory. You can I'm going to design this. I'm going to prototype something. I'm going to wear it to a few events. Then I'll put it up on my site. and just test it. And some things go and some things don't. And I think the fact that you're able to not be afraid to try things, and that attitude of like, if you want to do something, if you set your mind to it in this community, it's possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But does anything replace the grind and the hustle behind it? Like, it's nothing. What's easy about life, man? What's the secret, AV? You make life look effortless.
Oh, do I?
At least through the prism of social.
Yeah, I mean, I think finding time to chill is the secret.
Work hard and chill hard. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think I don't necessarily feel like this is a cliche thing to say, but like I don't feel like I'm working a whole lot all the time. I feel like I'm busy, but I don't always feel like I'm not like this is hard work. You know what I mean? Like that's so I.
Is that just because you've aligned your passion with?
I think it's because I love what I do.
Yeah.
A lot, and I have the support of my family.
That's
with it
so
too.
true. You need that
I mean,
support.
so that there's not like a conflict there. You know what I mean? Where, I mean there is when it comes to time and stuff like that.
Dude, I'm
Don't
there
get me
too.
wrong, but like
it's like you're gone and
yeah, but they are happy that I'm happy and that this is like the way to provide. You know what I mean? Like that's
it's rare air that you're able to do what you do. I feel the same way about what I'm doing. Like, what a privilege for 22 years to make a living with cameras and photography and video. Like, it's to survive, to go through the ups and downs. I still have a roller coaster of income.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
what?
Is my internet working? Because I'm not getting many emails right now, and then I have to think, and then I got to go out and hustle hard, and then other times it's I don't know what to do because I'm busy. But I think it's just I feel fortunate as I hear you speaking to it too. It's really lucky to be able to align your passion creatively and your talent with something you can provide for your family for. I don't think there's a bigger victory. Not that you have to make tons of money doing it. I don't make tons of money, but I do okay. I do well. But at the same time, I wouldn't take a higher income right now ever to do something that I don't like doing.
Yeah.
There's no amount of money you can give me to make me be miserable for 50 hours a week.
I know, man. That's the thing, and so there's like some stress relief, like inherently, like in what I do, and probably in what you do. You know, when you're trying to when you're doing photos and ideas are coming and you're shooting people, you're not thinking about like all the other problems.
No,
you know what I mean?
Nice
and when I'm
escape.
DJing, it's like I'm not.
Right.
I can't think about like.
Well, even this
every other little
conversation is a
problem.
bubble. You know, I'm not thinking. That's why I like doing this podcast. Is I get to combine the photo shoot aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
We get to shoot video of our conversation, but all we have is the moment that we're in right now. You know, and if you're focused on, okay, I'm with my family right now, so I'm going to try to focus and not think about 10 other things, and my head is in another place. I'm trying to be more conscious of that. I'm saying it like I do it all the time, but I don't. But I'm saying that it's like this thing that in the voice, I'm trying to like, okay, right now I'm with AB. We're having a conversation. I'm try to put all my focus on it. When we were doing the photo shoot, my focus is on that. And then when I get home tonight, hopefully I need to do better with that because it's easy to work too much at home too.
Yeah.
But be present in whatever moment we're in right now. So
that's a good way to. That's how kind of I approach my events, or try to approach all the different things that I do.
Yeah,
you know, like if I'm doing it, I'm focused on it, and I'm making it the best it can be at that time.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's trying to, you know, I've got ADD too, so like being able to bounce around, I think helps. So I think that's why I bounce around in all these things. You know what I'm saying? Because.
Well, it's hard. I don't know if I have classic ADD, but if you watch my work,
I don't know if I have it classically, but I had a counselor tell me that I probably should go to an adult ADD class. Yeah.
My ADD is like,
What's
I'll
yours?
open an email. I'll reply to an email, and I'll write 4 sentences. And then I'll go over to social, and I'll post something on social. And I not finish the email. I should just finish the email. It's almost done. And then I'll do something else, and then I'll get up from the computer, and it's 2 hours later, I still haven't hit send on the draft of that email. But everything I was doing wasn't wasting time.
No.
It was all things I needed to do, but I just don't do them in a siloed approach. I can just zero in and finish. I'm spread out all over. I think a lot of creatives are like that, actually.
Yeah. I admire those people that can just...
But then we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. We'd be an accountant,
No.
or a
So, see,
CFO
I need one of
in
those
a
people.
big business.
If you're listening to this, and you're one of those people that can just do those tasks, boom, 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 boom.
Come shadow you for a day and help you.
I would like them to be on my team.
Oh,
They can help. They can help me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They can be the...
Well,
They
and
can
I've
ba-
had
they
that
can-
off
they
and
can be-
on. I've had project managers where it's
Yeah.
I could delegate to things, and I knew that they were task oriented. I guess
Yeah.
I'm less task oriented. I have tasks I need to do. I have to-do lists, but it's hard to when you can delegate half of that. It's such a weight. Sometimes I feel like when I'm really busy and there's a whole plethora of things that need to be done, I'm least effective because I get a little whoa, where do I start?
Right.
And sometimes if I could just slide some more, I've used producers, I've had project managers and stuff, and I flex up and down. And man, am I efficient if I have a little bit of help. So
Yeah.
if anyone wants to work with AB's team, help this guy out. I got one last question. I know you're a time constraint. I really do like your clothing line. I was looking again at the shop.
I've got new stuff coming out. Why don't I just talk about that?
Let's talk
I've
about
got
that.
new stuff.
But I have another question
Yeah.
if a guy like me is
Yeah.
wearing your brand,
Yeah.
is that a bad thing for your brand? When you see somebody,
No.
come on, man.
A guy like you, a successful photographer.
I'm just saying, you see your clothing physically hanging on a guy like me, my age, my profile. It probably isn't good for your brand,
It doesn't matter. Then you just look like that's the dude that knows about what's going on. Age is nothing but a number. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, I'm gonna.
So
get into some new gear.
that doesn't even matter because I mean I don't know.
So I'm going to be the face of your next campaign.
No.
That's what you said. You wanted me to model for you. That's what you just said. That's what I heard.
I was about
you
to do
didn't
that
say
thing.
it, but
I was
that's
about
what
to
I
do that
heard.
thing. I was about to compare my clothing line to Gucci, and I was going to talk about how you'll see old guys with Gucci,
Sure.
and you'll see young kids with Gucci backpacks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, true.
Because if something's good,
So,
everybody can get down with it. You know what I mean? It's all
So to wrap this up, tell me about the new clothing line. What are you excited about it? And
I'm excited.
Is there anything a theme to it or anything that sort of underpinned it?
Yeah. It's called Brand A. So I'm finally giving the clothing line finally has its own place to live online and its own Instagram, because it's always been AB's clothes, AB designs this, AB, you know what I mean? So Brand A, but it's spelled BR with 2 brackets, and then the A is in between the brackets in the middle, then the N, and then the D. So it looks like brand,
right?
With, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I just been kind of annoyed and kind of obsessed with how everybody everywhere is trying to brand everything, and then just also just the I was at the Kanye West show when his tour when he was here a couple of years ago, and he had printed his tour merch was on Gildan t-shirts, which you remember. I mean, they've been around forever. Cheapest t-shirt you can buy. And his tour merch is printed on a Gildan t-shirt, and it's being sold for $100, $150, $200. And so it's just funny to me that depending on and and around here, like all these local T-shirt brands, right? Like we're all buying the shirts from the same place,
Right.
and we're just
And they might be printed and fulfilled all through it, and I just have
at
an
the same
online
place.
cart. You know,
and all you do,
same thing.
and it's just like what's on the shirt, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's just like the whole idea that like the shirts are all essentially the same. It's just like a different brand that's like thrown on it, and like doesn't matter like how important is branding, like just like.
Well, you're kind
and
of
I kinda
owning
wanna,
the DIY end of it and just saying it's boiling it down to its simplest form. It's like I'm brand A.
Yeah, so I just think that the new designs I'm pretty excited about too. So on September 6th in Grand Rapids, there's an event called Exhibit A, and so it's going to be like it's basically
cool
like
initials.
a dance party, street festival, modeling, like a runway show. There's going to be performances, some hip hop performances. I'm actually going to perform some new songs, so I'm excited about that. Tech Togo's performing. Lady Ace Boogie is performing. Who she's amazing. We actually
I've
just
wanted
finished
to meet her.
a video
Actually,
shoot.
I've listened to a lot of her music, especially when I was thinking about scoring a certain project, a video project, or like for Art Prize or something.
Okay.
And I just never got around to finding the right ask for her. But I'm looking forward to meeting her and maybe working on some.
Well, I could put you in touch.
Well, yeah, absolutely. You can put me in touch with anybody. I want your Rolodex. But well, anyway.
So anyway, like new clothing this fall, September. Well, it's still summer technically, so it's like the end of summer into fall. But like I think it's a really good time. It's right after the holiday. This is like a free event. We're taking over a parking lot and like transforming it into.
Where's the lot?
Zoko 822.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, they're a cool Basque, the Spanish-themed restaurant. That's a good collab.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be perfect.
Well, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know
Thank
we
you for
went
having me.
A little longer, but hopefully the conversation was good enough that it values
Dude,
the extra time.
This was good.
We'll
How
come to you.
long have you been?
We'll come to
How
you.
long have you been doing this podcast?
We are 13 episodes in.
13 episodes in. Okay.
And
so this is
blowing up,
episode.
dude.
This is episode 14 or episode 13.
Well, I've got a couple in the can. I'm not sure
I see.
when
Okay.
I'll get you out, but I try to do. For efficiency, I try to shoot 2 episodes in a day because everything's set up.
Okay.
And I'm investing at this point. It costs me money to do this, but I enjoy the conversations. It also is an extension of what I'm doing anyway. If I had time, I would. In the years past, I'd ask somebody, "Hey, you want to come in and do a shoot?"
Right.
It's good for my book. It keeps me working. It keeps me trying new lighting styles. You did some ridiculous things for me today, which I really appreciate. But everyone's, you got to go to fullexposurepodcast.com, go to AB's episode page, and you'll see the portraits I shot of him. I'll also put links up to your stuff on your artist bio, and then on there what's cool about my website is actually just that you'll have a dedicated episode page. You can stream the whole audio there. You don't have to go out to Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Okay.
You don't have to. You can just stream it on the web, or then you'll see all the portraits I shot, and then we're going to carve up these videos. I'll do 5 or 6 videos from our conversation that are about a particular subject.
Look at
So
you,
carve
man.
it out. Multimedia podcasting, man.
That's great.
Get
I
in
like
the
it.
game,
I like
maybe. Next, I'll be designing fashion. I'll just be wearing yours because you do it way better than me, and I'll be out there killing your brand. You're like, why are the sales so low on this launch? It's like, yeah, because Brian's been wearing all my stuff. I'm not a street ambassador. Keep me away from the street ambassador team, is all I'm saying.
You're funny.
All right, dude, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I enjoyed that conversation. Maybe if you see me around town, you'll see me sporting AB streetwear, killing the brand and killing the sales. That's my. Those are 2 of my calling cards. I kill brands and I kill sales when I put your gear on my body. So, anyway, check out everythingab.com. It is everything you need to know about AB. Events coming up, stuff he's DJing, how to get a hold of him, links to his apparel brands, buy his t-shirts, buy his hoodies, buy his stuff. It's all really cool. And also, as we were talking, please check out the fullexposurepodcast.com website. It is beautiful. I'm telling you, it is. I'm super proud of that website. My daughter Hannah helped design it and get the initial heavy lifting of that website up. So fullexposurepodcast.com. Check it out. And you know what? Just have a great week, everybody. I'm pumped up, and I hope you are too. And let's go get it, all right? Have a great week.